Hi, welcome to Spinning Dreams. My name is Laura, and this is the space where I talk about all my cozy knitting and crochet and sewing. So yeah, welcome. I am trying a couple of new things this week. I have a new mic and some lighting here to my right. So I'm hoping that the quality will be a little bit better this week. We'll see. Let me know what you think. I have my coffee here. I hope you have something warm to drink. It's actually a beautiful cup that my new friend Hallie made. And it's just gorgeous. I love her work. She's new to this craft, but I think she has so much talent. So I love drinking from her cups. And it's a cold but sunny day in January. And I think we'll probably get outside today and go for a walk or go to the water. I love going to the water when the sun is out and seeing all the birds out playing and fishing. And I love seeing the reflection of the trees and the hills and the mountains and the water. We live by a lake, by a bay, really. It's a bay, not a lake. Sometimes it feels like a lake, but anyway, it's a bay. And it's so beautiful to see the changing scene of nature playing out. So we'll probably do that today. Anyway, yeah, I'm still feeling the winter vibes. I've got my knitty shawl on, which I'll talk about. Actually, I'll just go ahead and talk about that now. So last week I mentioned, I showed you my Free or Fade last week, the kind of pinky neutral one. And I thought, I'll show you the one I cast on immediately after. I was like so happy with that one. I was in the groove and I really didn't want to stop knitting that pattern. That's how I feel about the Free or Fade pattern. So let me show you this one. Let's see if I can unravel it. There we go. So it is a green version, more or less. Greeny white this time. So it's 2 skeins of sock yarn. And it's Life in the Long Grass. And I want to say, I searched for the tags and I'm not absolutely sure this is right. But I'm pretty sure it's Life in the Long Grass twist sock in rose hip. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So I think it's this one, which hopefully this is showing up nicely. I think it is. I think this is pretty accurate. It's a little bit dark. Oh, there we go. So it's kind of a green with some purple and pink, a tiny bit of yellow, but it reads green to me. It kind of reminds me of Monet, like a Monet painting. I think it's beautiful. And then I faded into Emma's yarn, Emma's sock. I think it's like Practically Perfect sock yarn, something like that. It was my first time using either, I think. I might have used Life in the Long Grass before, but I can't remember. Anyway, so the fade went well, I think. It's quite a contrast, and to be honest, I'm not 100% sure about the high contrast. I guess it's not as high as it could have been, maybe more like a medium contrast, but it's still it's super cozy. It looks beautiful. I love the green. I think because I was in such a hurry to just keep going on this lovely pattern, I just cast on right away. And I think in hindsight, what I would have liked to do is reverse these so that the green, the darker green or medium green, was at the bottom, like here, but instead it's at the top. So I feel like I'm kind of always wanting this to show more toward my front here, but it gets hidden. So I do try to reverse it somehow and get it like, yeah. Let's see if I can do this and show you how I kind of like try and get this color to be more visible. But I mean, I love the other color, but I just feel like this one is more my groove, more my thing for like my skin tone or like my, whatever I'm wearing. So that's what yeah, I love it though. And I seriously could have kept going with this pattern. Like I might have just cast on another one if I didn't stop myself. So I thought, oh, it's time to move on, do something different. But yeah, I love it. I love the pattern. I love the yarn. I would highly recommend this pattern for beginners, anyone who is new to lace, because the lace row here is actually really easy, and I simplified it further. So she calls for like some double yarn overs, and I simplified it to single because I didn't see a difference, and she did make a note about that. If you don't see a difference in your yarn overs, like if it doesn't make a big difference between a double yarn over and a single yarn over, then do it. Do you. You do you. And so I did. And I feel like it's still like very lacy in the way that I want it. Like it's not lacking any laceness. So great first lace pattern to try if you're a little bit daunted by lace. It's very mindful knit because it's garter. It's a bias shawl, so it stretches a lot, which I feel like when you're working with fingering weight, it takes a bit longer for the shawl to grow. But that said, like once it does grow on the bias, then you've got like this really stretched out, lovely, big, drapey, it's very drapey shawl. And also it's great for those days for layering when you want something cozy around you, but you don't want anything too bulky or warm. So yeah, I think fingering weight shawls are a really great staple to have in your wardrobe. So that's what I'm wearing. Oh, I wanted to mention also, I almost added this to this shawl. And because the shawl pattern calls for 3 skeins, but not 3 full skeins. I think it's 2.5 skeins, and I was going to add this one. And it just read kind of peachy to me, and paired with the white, the cool white of this, I was not sure that I was liking that. And in hindsight, it might have worked. Like it might have just, from a distance, I think it could work. But, when you're in that zone of like hyper focused on something and you're like looking very closely, like, oh no, it's not quite the right tone, it's going to clash. So I just opted out of this one, and it made this a quicker knit and a little bit smaller, but not much at all. Because it only would have been, just a half skein more. So I could have done it, but now I have a whole skein to do something else fun with. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. And this is Emma's yarn as well. And I can show you her label here. I have this one. I have this label. So this is Emma's yarn, and I get this from my local yarn shop here in town. So Emma's yarn. And this is beautiful, super silky, actually. So it's not her sock. I mean, it is still sock, or it's like fingering weight. But yeah, it's lovely. It's 80% superwash merino and 20% silk. So that's where we get the drape and the shine, the luster in this one, which it does have quite a bit of luster. And yeah, so that's my shawl. I think you can see in the back too a finished object, so I'll go ahead and jump into that. Last week I was working on, almost finished, this cardigan for my niece, and I have finished it. I haven't blocked it yet, but I added the buttons, as you can see, and I'll go ahead and I'll take it down. Let me just get a sip. So I finished it. It's really cute to me. And it's the Aeol pattern. I'm forgetting the the author of this pattern, but I did mention it last week, so you can go see last week. And I will try to write it in the description below. And I use these buttons that are wooden, and I think it looks really sweet. And so it's quite a few buttons, which I am not always a fan of, but so I did reduce the buttons. I think I put more space between each button, maybe like 2 rows or something between 2 rows extra between each button. So it reduced my quantity of buttons, but I think it looks really effective, like especially with the wood. I feel like can't have enough wooden buttons, really. I don't know what it is about the wooden buttons, but I love them. And you can see here like the kind of pinwheeling effect here of the increases for the yoke and the little bit of a puff sleeve and the I-cord bind off here. There's a bit of a decrease here to make that puffiness, and then the I-cord. And then there's I-cord all the way around, all the way from the back as well. And then all the way down here. It's kind of rolling, so I'm hoping that once I block it, this will just lay down a bit nicer. I think it will, because I haven't blocked it at all, and it's not too bad, so I think it will just kind of do that. It looks kind of cute rolling, so I don't mind it, but I do think it will look cute if it can lay a little bit flatter. So yeah, I think it's gonna look really good. And I did try it on my daughter, and it did fit her, but it was snug. So that gives me hope. And she does my girl wears her like 2 to 3 year old stuff still. Like I try and stretch her clothing as long as I can. So I feel like she's just maybe a bit narrow and small. So I think a lot of things from this age still kind of fit her. So I think it's going to fit this little 1-year-old well. I think it's going to be a bit big, but we can roll the cuffs and it'll be a bit oversized for, half a year or a year. And then it'll fit hopefully really well for a couple of years. So maybe until she's 4 even. So that's the eel. I feel really good. And this again was, I'm blanking on the yarn. Oh, I mentioned it last week. What is it? Rauma Fino. That's what it is. And it was my first time working with it, I think, and it's kind of slightly rustic, but also like not. You just have to work with it to see. It's kind of an in-between. It's not too rustic, but it definitely feels woolly, which is what we want, right? So that's that. So I'm pretty excited to gift that. And I mentioned last week, let's get that back. I mentioned last week that we're going to Europe, so I'll be able to hand gift that, like hand it over to my niece for her first birthday. So that's going to be very exciting. Oh, and I love that it's red for February. I don't know. I'm not a huge Valentine's girl, but I just feel like I associate red with February. So that's kind of fun. So while we're on the theme of cardigans for children, I thought I would show you another recent finish. It was probably a couple weeks ago that I finished this, maybe 3 weeks ago. It's a cardigan for my daughter, and it is so fun. So this is it. It is like so colorful and cheerful and happy, and my daughter Mabel chose all of the colors, and it's gorgeous. I want one for myself, maybe not in this color scheme, but this is for a young person. So I think it's perfect for this age and what she's got going on in her vibe. So this is the Kids Granny Go Round Cardigan by Iron Lamb. And I saw this, where did I first see this? I think it's Alicia Paulson. I'm blanking right now. I think it is. And her daughter, she made it for her daughter, I think. And she made not the cardigan, but the sweater. I'm pretty sure it's the same exact one. or something very similar, like kind of a granny stripe thing. And I just loved it. I thought it was so cute and like wearing an Afghan, and I loved it. So yeah, I thought I'm going to cast that on for my daughter. And I got her involved and she chose all of her colors. And I also was able to do some scrappy stuff here. So I'll tell you what I used mostly, which was this Peer Gynt. And sorry, there's some coffee stains on there. You can tell that I am a coffee and knit girl. I've got like coffee everywhere. So this is 100% wool and Norwegian wool, produced in Norway by Sandnes Garn. And it's one I've been wanting to get my hands on. So I did almost all of it out of Peer Gynt. And there are a few leftovers here that I've used up. Like this is some alpaca here from when we went to the farm in South Africa. Maybe some more alpaca from then. This is cotton here, just leftover cotton that I had. Just to add some variation. So any of the white is cotton. Some of the purple is Peer Gynt, some of the purple isn't. This kind of like mauvey, purple-y, reddish color is alpaca. And then I have some like, I think it's even like Jameson's in there, like doubled or anyway, some random stuff going on. But it works and I think it looks really cool. Like I like that it's not following any kind of like pattern. Like I didn't repeat anything again. Everything is pretty much different all the way through. And I wanted it to be something where your eye didn't track it. Like it wasn't like, oh, it goes this and this and this and that. I wanted it to be random feeling. And I think I captured that because that's what I feel a granny stripe Afghan is. The ones that my grandma made, she was a crocheter and a knitter and she made Afghans from what I remember anyway. She had them. I don't know if she actually made them, but all the ones from like, I don't know, I guess it was the 70s and 80s where my mom had some too, where they were on the sofa and you just curl up and they felt random always. They weren't, sometimes they were like a very distinct pattern, that's true. But a lot of times they were scrappy and just fun and whimsical. So in the pattern, it says to pick up here in a crochet border, button band and border hem. But I wanted it to be a knitted one, so I picked it up and knit. And that went well. I think it turned out well. You can see on the sleeves here. I like it. I love the contrast of knit and crochet together. One slightly shameful part about this cardigan is my ends. I was like, I'm not going to weave all these ends in. I'm going to do something weird. Different. I'm going to be different. Why do I do this to myself? But anyway, I tried like braiding them. It was a disaster. Like I did not enjoy the process. I started to at the beginning. I was like, oh, this is like braiding hair. No. This was not like braiding hair in the end. But anyway, it is what it is. It's tidy enough. Nothing's coming apart. But it's just not the most attractive. It's kind of funky. So yeah, if I were going to do that again, I would weave in my ends. Moral of the story, weave in your ends. And that's okay. I'm glad to have learned that lesson again. There is a beauty to weaving in ends. It takes patience and endurance, but it's also really, it is a mindful way to connect with your knitting and your crochet and to have some more time, maybe in front of a favorite show or like with an audiobook. So why did I resist? I don't know. Good question. Anyway, that is the Granny Go Round cardigan for my daughter. I love it. Yay. It's really heavy too. I should mention that. I haven't weighed it, but it's like, whoa. It is like wearing a blanket. So it'll keep her warm, even though there are lots of gaps with the crochet. Oh, something else I should mention. The pattern suggested that you okay, how do I say this? So in the body, you are working back and forth because it's not in the round. There's no steeking going on or anything like that with this crochet cardigan. So you're going back and forth, and then when you get to the sleeves, you're going in the round. But the pattern author recommends like turning your work so that you're going back and forth instead of in the round. And I thought, I don't know, I kind of like it like this. You can see that it's a bit different. So on the body, I'm going back and forth on rows. So you've got the front side and the back side, I guess, of the crochet stitch, the granny stitch. And then on this side, you've got just the front side. So it is a bit different from the body to the sleeve, but I kind of liked it. Like, I don't know, it's very subtle. So I don't feel like I'm like, whoa, that's so different. I'm just like, oh, that looks kind of cool, kind of different. There's a little difference there. But if you wanted to follow it exactly, then you would go back and forth. But anyway, small modification, not anything monumental. I loved it. I loved the pattern, would recommend it. And if you want something cheerful and happy and fun and warm in your life, then I would recommend this yarn, and something like this, either this pattern or something like this is just great. I cast on some mittens for myself as well. I think I mentioned last week that I went to a yarn shop, a new to me yarn shop in Oregon when I was visiting my brother and his family. And I got some yarn for me to knit some fingerless mitts that I need for knitting outside or anytime I'm cold, really, because it's that time. And so I got some lovely wool alpaca blend by, I think it's Plymouth Yarn. It's something, I can't remember what it's called. I have it in the last episode. And I showed you it was a beautiful mid-tone gray. And I have cast on for that project. So this is a work in progress. Not a whole lot to show. It's just the cuff here, which this is so soft and squishy. I'm loving the way it's knitting up. I went down a few needle sizes than I thought I would need. So I'm working on, what are we on here? I think this is 2.75 needles for the body, for the hand. And the cuff was smaller, I think a size smaller or 2 sizes smaller. And so I'm just getting the thumb gusset going here. You can see, so what I think I'm gonna do is do like a super plain vanilla fingerless mitt, and then make sure it fits really comfortably because it's a very practical knit for me. Make sure there's no issue, that it doesn't annoy me at all, because I do not, the point is to be comfortable and warmer while I knit, while I'm doing something with my hands. So I want it to be very comfortable. And then I'm going to embellish it. I think this is where I'm heading. Embellish it with some embroidery with either yarn or cotton, like wool or cotton. I'm not sure. But I was thinking maybe some flowers or some leaves, vines, something. So I think that would be really cute to see, like, or really sweet to see while I'm knitting, like these flowers. I think it will make me feel happy because I love flowers. So that's the plan, to brighten it up a little bit. Still probably fairly neutral colors, nothing like this. But just like in the pink and green range, most likely. So I'll keep you posted on how that knits up. But yeah, I can kind of show you, because it's on my circulars, I can show you how it's fitting so far. And it's fitting well. It feels really comfy. And I tried to make quite a long cuff so that it would not, I wouldn't have any gaps like I do now between my coat and my hand, because that really gets me cold. I get cold right there. Even with the glove on up here, you know, like I just get cold. So that's my goal. Anyway, so I don't have a name for this. I'm just kind of winging it with this one. This is my own pattern. Maybe I'll name it, or maybe it'll just be part of my stack of random things that I make up. But yeah, I'm really loving this yarn. working with it for the first time. And I just love alpaca. Yeah, it's so soft. So I think that's about it for me today. I'm so glad that I could get back here in a week's time. This is the first time I've ever done this, and it feels good. Like, if I can keep my studio set up for recording, I would love to be able to just sit down and record every week when I have the moment. So yeah, this is maybe the start of that. We'll see. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I want to mention. I went to a book club for the first time yesterday. A new book club that I signed up for. It's a romantasy book club in town. And it's a genre I actually really enjoy. It's my favorite genre, I think, at the moment. And it has been for a while. I've always enjoyed romance. That's always been like a favorite since like a certain age anyway. And then fantasy, some and some. Like, it really depends on the fantasy for me. But the two together, romance and fantasy, really work for me. So it was a great time. The book that we read was so wild. It was a monster romance, which I had never read. I've read like Beauty and the Beast, you know, and like that kind of theme. But this was like wild. Yeah. So the conversation was kind of raucous and funny and inappropriate, and I loved it. I loved every moment. So I'm looking forward to maybe making some friends there, and I would recommend joining a book club if you're a reader and don't normally socialize over your books. It's just kind of refreshing every once in a while, even if it's not regularly, just to talk about what you're reading. Yeah, I really like it, actually. I didn't know if I would, with this genre, because it's so, it's just such a funny thing to talk about sometimes, the romance aspect with strangers. But it was totally fun. So yeah, that's new. And I have a couple other events this week and just some social things going on. So I feel like the start of the year is good for me right now, getting back into a routine, and my family is feeling the need for routine. So we're all kind of getting into our normal day-to-day community events. So that's what we have planned this week. So hopefully I'll see you next week and have some more knitting done. And I hope that you're also getting back into the groove of your life with your family, if you're on your own, that you're finding places to connect in the community. And yeah, happy making. I hope that you're finding comfort in all of the cozy things that you're making right now. And I will see you next week, hopefully.